Good Tuesday morning, everybody, and welcome back into Game Week. This is Volquest.com, the Volquest Tuesday morning podcast. I'm Eric Kane alongside Brent Hubbs and Rob Lewis, and it's good to get back into Game Week. Tennessee fresh off the bye, 4-1 on the season, 1-1 in SEC play. Going to welcome Arkansas, which is 2-3 on the year, 0-1 in Southeastern Conference play. That's on Saturday at 4:10 Eastern Time. Obviously, a lot of changes going on for the Hogs right now. Sam Pittman is out. Bobby Petrino riding back in on that hog, right? He's the offense coordinator promoted to interim status. And we're going to break down and look at Arkansas here on today's podcast and look around the SEC because, man, the SEC just kind of feels wide open this year. It was a fun weekend of football, couple of 5 upsets in the top 25, I think, or maybe 4 upsets, 5 ranked teams lost. So we'll kind of get into that later on as the show goes on. Guys, first and foremost, you look at Arkansas, it's a team that can score points. It's a team that can't stop anybody. I'll be interested, Brent, to see kind of how does this team respond to all the changes going on. Pittman's out. In speaking with some people in Fayetteville over the last week and a half, I mean, their interpretation is that team just quit in the Notre Dame game, and I think the score, reflects that. But it is an offense that can score. You have Petrino, who's fired 3 defensive assistants and brought in a couple of different guys and promoted the defensive line coach to the defensive coordinator and all that and more. Offense shouldn't be an issue, but I'm intrigued to see what this team looks like in terms of if they're motivated, if they're ready to roll, if they don't care. I think it's going to be interesting come 4 o'clock on Saturday.
Well, I think the thing that you're going to see is you're probably going to see a pretty carefree, cut-it-loose type team. And Rob, I mean, if Tennessee needed a lesson on how to be ready to play and what you need to do, all they had to do is look at UCLA. Now, I know that game was in Los Angeles, and it's different than being on the road, but that was a different-looking UCLA team against Penn State who played pretty carefree. That's like the weight of the world was kind of lifted off their shoulders. They're playing with house money, whatever phrase you want to use. I think Tennessee has to take a lesson from that in this game to know, 1, you might get anything, and 2, you're probably going to get a team that just kind of cuts it loose and plays because they don't have the daily or the weekly questions about their head coach's future hanging over their head.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that you will see that. But, the flip side of the coin is they also don't have, in my opinion, also don't have a lot of skin in the game anymore. So my point being, if something goes bad, I think that, they're likely to chuck it early. So I think getting off to a good start is key because I totally agree with what you're saying. It's a situation like with UCLA where if it gets going good early, you could see a bunch of kids who have not had a lot of fun playing football this season, suddenly get their mojo back and that show up with some momentum. So, I mean, and they're talented. I mean, and Green is just obviously talented. So, I mean, it's not like, Tennessee can take anything for granted, but, it has – some of that may be coached, but man, some of the defensive stuff I think is really legit. And Hubbard, we've been doing it long enough. We've been through a couple of these. I mean, Fulmer's guys quit. They melded in that year, and then I mean, after the Dooley, I know Chaney won one. Which one did he win? Was it after Dooley?
Yeah, that would have been. I guess that would have been after Dooley, right?
After Dooley, Chaney did he beat Vandy?
I think so.
I mean, that team did not quit. I mean, the one Dooley's team after he got fired, it wasn't like they, that was some seismic cataclysmic event in their lives. But I think you probably got a lot of guys on the Arkansas roster that were Pittman guys, despite how it ended.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. Dooley may have got fired after the Vanderbilt deal. That was a Kentucky game I think Chaney had because that was that run where the 2 games were reversed because they fired Dooley after Nashville after that night loss.
Okay,
But I think there was a game left. I think there was still a Kentucky game.
So Chaney
had the interim, I think.
I know he won one.
But to your point, at this point in the season, Eric, I think the question that you're always wondering if you're making these decisions as an AD is how does somebody respond? And what we don't know is, how popular is Bobby Petrino in the room, right? And are guys going to rally around him and play for him and that type of thing, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And then you just have the unknowns of what they're going to be defensively. I mean, you sit here and you look at the bio of Chris Wilson, who is the new defensive coordinator. I mean, he was a part of the Eagles staff last year, won a Super Bowl, or a couple of years ago, won the Super Bowl, whenever they won it. He was in the USFL. He was a defense coordinator at Colorado. He's been a co-defensive coordinator a couple different places. And interestingly, he was on staff at Oklahoma when Josh Heupel was on staff at Oklahoma. So there's some familiarity, at least in the foundation of what Tennessee does offensively. Now, Josh Heupel's offense in 2025 is a lot different than Josh Heupel's assistance in the offense he was a part of in Oklahoma in 06, 07, 08, when I think those two were at least on staff together. But there's some foundation principles that remain. So I think if you're Josh Heupel, Eric, my question is, what do you prepare for offensively? Odd front? You're going to prepare for a dime? Is this guy going to play 6 DBs like Arkansas played a year ago with basically 3 safeties on the field? Are they going to play kind of a 3-3 stack and try to mix and match where people are coming from, a little bit like Mississippi State did? I think how quickly you get a handle on what they're doing Saturday is certainly an early storyline. Tennessee's been great in the first quarter offensively. Their script has been beautiful. But how do you script this one if you're Josh Heupel?
It's a really good point. I mean, you look at Arkansas and where it ranks right now in the Southeastern Conference. Last in scoring defense, total defense, rush defense, just in front of Tennessee, ironically, in pass defense. The last 3 games specifically, with losses to Ole Miss, Memphis, and Notre Dame, Arkansas is on average has given up 43 points, 535 yards total offense, 206 yards on the ground. They almost gave up 300 yards to Memphis on the ground. So to your point, it's not like Arkansas has anything to lose. Like, last week I kind of sat there and thought, I was like, okay, it's going to be hard for me to believe they're just going to make wholesale changes, change the script completely defensively, because you just have a week or two to get ready. I think the terminology is going to be similar. I think your base principles are going to be similar. But to your point, I think they're just going to throw anything out at you, because it's not like they have anything to lose. It is a train wreck defensively, and it has been this year. So we'll see what happens. You're right. I forgot about that last year. They switched it up on Tennessee and went to that odd front and had stack look and really created some problems. And Tennessee scored just 14 points in that football game. Could they do something similar? I mean, I'd be watching that tape and do the exact same thing that they did last year, Rob. And I just think Heupel and Halsley and Luttrell and all those guys, they got to be ready for anything, because Arkansas literally could not be worse than it has been defensively throughout 5 games this season.
No, I mean, I agree with that part, Eric, for sure. I mean, just to throw anything against the wall and see what sticks and see what works. Man, they've been so bad. I mean, I'm sure there's been some teams out there before that have been this bad. Maybe Mississippi State might have been one of them. But Arkansas has given up over 6 yards a play on offense.
Yeah.
For comparison, Oklahoma is leading the SEC. They're giving up just a little over 3 yards.
And the difference here, sorry to jump in here, like people are saying, well, if you look at it on paper, it's like, like Tennessee, Arkansas, like they're kind of comparable, but the difference here is Tennessee sacking the quarterback, Tennessee's getting takeaways, Tennessee's
touchdowns,
logging defensive touchdowns and TFLs. Tennessee, though it needs to improve, still making plays. Rob, Arkansas's defense making no plays.
No, and I mean, I'm not defending Tennessee. They have not been consistent on defense, but like you said, they are making plays. They're making plays at the end of the game when they need to, like at Mississippi State. And I mean, Arkansas is just not comparable. I mean, the 6 yards of play stuff that's pretty legendary. For this deep into the season, not after you just play 2 or 3 games and you played somebody tough in the opener. That's a big number. And again, I 100%. I'd say that they'll be relying on creating confusion, but these are the same guys that just have been getting mauled. And I think that there might be a little adjustment period, time to figure out. But I would really be surprised if Tennessee did not have a big game offensively.
I'm just going to be curious to see how much can Arkansas drastically change defensively? I mean, like, how much more stuff can they put in? How much different stuff? Is it going to be pretty simplistic? Like, what's it going to be? I think the other thing, too, when I look at them is how is the cohesion going to be defensively with Chris Wilson, who is a veteran defensive line coach. He has cut his teeth as a defensive line coach his entire career. Most of those guys, Rob, need help in the back end, somebody help tie it together. How well are they tied together front end to back end of the defense, and kind of how does that work? I think it's another unique part to this deal. Sometimes it feels like to me it's easier to change offenses, on the fly, put in some new offensive wrinkles, some new offensive things, as opposed to putting in new defensive things to defend somebody. But I don't know exactly. I mean, if you're Tennessee and you're game planning today, what are you planning for? I mean, you're going to go back and look at Colorado. You're going to look at some USFL stuff. Like, what are you basing stuff off of to determine kind of what you think you can get or what you might get? I mean, I don't know. They did, they were kind of feast or famine at Colorado when he was there. They made some plays. They were aggressive defensively. They did some things to force some turnovers and some plays, but they gave up a bunch of big plays too. Do they play it that way? Kind of what do they try to go with in basically 6 days of putting a system in for their players? And we all know that that's really more like about 4 days of work when you factor it all in. So how much can this group grasp in that short a period of time, and how drastically different can you be will certainly be the storyline to start this game.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll be intriguing to see, and I think the start paramount. Again, how do you script plays for what you don't really know what's going to happen? You just kind of go back to the basics and think about what you do well. What does Tennessee do well? Focus on that. Craft plays to where you do well and try to get off to a good start, because Tennessee has been a very good starting football team so far this year, where it's a lot of unknowns and question marks defensively in terms of the staff with Sam Pittman firing and the dominoes that have kind of fell down since then. There is no questions about what's going on offensively. Bobby Petrino is the offensive coordinator. He's now the interim head coach. He will remain on the sideline. He will continue calling plays. He has promoted running backs coach Colby Smith to offensive coordinator to help with game planning. But this is Petrino's show. It's been a good show offensively. The offense, what I wrote in the first glance, my first sentence in the offensive section last night, offense is not the issue. Like, Arkansas is really, really good. They're fifth in the league in 37 points per game, fourth in the league with 300 yards, through the air, second in rushing at 213. They're tied for second in the league with a 57% on third downs. They've scored 17 touchdowns, 19 trips to the red zone, and they have a good quarterback. We've talked about him a little bit, Rob, already, but Taylor Green's an issue. Taylor Green's a problem, and I think, Brent, you ask about do players like Bobby Petrino? I don't know, but if Taylor Green, I bet he likes him, right? Because he's turned his career around the last 2 years since coming to Fayetteville. Really good quarterback. He's fourth in the league in rushing. If you take yards gained only, he would be second in the league. He runs a ton. He's completing 62% of his passes. He's fourth in the league in yards and in touchdowns. He is a really good quarterback. And so
he's averaging 8 yards a carry.
Yeah.
And this deep in the season is, when you're talking about taking this, even that's with the sacks.
Yeah. So for a Tennessee defense that's had issues containing just the run game, going to have its hands full, Rob, this weekend with Taylor Green.
I mean, got to keep an eye on him. And he's been much better than I anticipated. And what a dude. I mean, to be, he's got 54. I looked it up earlier. He's got 54 carries and over 400 yards on that. So he's making some huge chunk plays. Tennessee's got to be disciplined. I mean, you would hope that, with a veteran defensive line, that's something that they're going to be aware of. Contain rushing lanes, having gap integrity. But when the bullets start flying and you can lose some of that. And that guy is good. To me, that would be my biggest concern for Tennessee, is just his legs, his making stuff happen out of structure. When you have when you played it pretty well, and he just gets loose and makes something happen.
I went back and looked at this game last night, looked at the stat sheet of it. Tennessee did a really good job with his legs last year. Did not let that become really a factor at all. Can they do that again? Because I think when you look at this defense and you take the stats out of it, okay, just take the numbers away. Where are the concerns? Just in your, not looking at stats, you just to your recollection, your observation, recollection. What stands out to you as a concern? One, Tennessee's inability to get off the field on third down. Arkansas has been a really good third down offense this year. Two, Tennessee struggles to set the edge in the run game. I mean, if you're Arkansas, how many quarterback sweeps are you going to run early in this game to see where Tennessee's at and playing contain and playing on the outside, because Mississippi State ran for, I think, 98 yards outside the tackle box. I think Georgia ran for about the same number. Tennessee's defensive ends, their Leos and their linebackers, depending on what the call is, has to set the edge better, or Arkansas can have a field day running wide. And, oh, by the way, Arkansas's got a big heavy back that they can run downhill between the tackles. But for me, it's the quarterback sweep stuff, zone read stuff that Tennessee has not seen to this point this year, that if I'm Tim Banks, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because if I'm Bobby Petrino and I've looked at Mississippi State and I've looked at the Georgia game, I'm thinking I can get wide on Tennessee in the ground game. And that's where Tennessee, I think, first and foremost, Eric, has to clean things up defensively.
Yeah, and again, that is basic assignment football. Read option. You have a quarterback player. You have the dive player. Sweep. You have a quarterback player there. You have somebody that's supposed to come down and set the edge, whether that's the end man on the line of scrimmage, whether that's a linebacker, maybe it's the star player in Boo Carter or Jalen McMurray coming downhill and setting that edge at that point in time. I mean, it's somebody's responsibility. So at the basis of it all, you just got to go out there and play your assignment. And Tennessee's not done that as well as it could have so far this year. Will Dominic Bailey kind of help in that regard? Getting David Hobbs back. Jackson Moy played last week. Go along with Dominic Bailey, Bryce Neeson on the inside. Bailey can still play some defensive tackle, but he can shift out and play some more defensive end, which is, his home position. Could that help in some regard? Maybe. It's not going to change everything around, but I do think that could help in terms of, contain and setting the edge. That is going to be a big focal point for Tennessee this week for sure. Mentioned Braylon Russell. He's kind of the two-back for Arkansas. He's 6'1", 240. Mike Washington, New Mexico State, transfers the lead back. They have a ton of transfers on offense that have come in and hit really well. Mike Washington is one of those from New Mexico State. Wide receiver, Omega Blake from Charlotte. He is the number one option. It's not even close. He has more than double the amount of receptions than the next closest guy. Fresno State transfer, Raylan Sharp's a guy. Former 2025 football, former LSU and former Florida State wide receiver Jaylen Brown, now with Arkansas. He's there as well. They have two transfer tight ends. A group that's kind of come along a little bit, Rob, and really produced. But again, it's assignments, quarterback play, making sure Green is contained, and that's what Tennessee's got to focus on.
EC, you may know, I haven't looked yet, but I was just glancing at some stuff because you do the first glance a lot earlier. I do the matchup. This Rohan Jones guy, did he have just one big game, or he's averaging 36 yards a catch? I didn't know if he got loose just like it, in the opener, or if they've got it. And I apologize for not knowing, because I'll know by Thursday, I promise. But
I haven't looked at specific game by game, but he is a tight end. He's not the starting tight end either, so I would assume he got loose in one of those games, probably a long touchdown reception or something. But 6 receptions, 220 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's made the most of his time. Jaden Platt is actually a transfer for Texas A&M, is the starter at tight end. But Rohan Jones, who you're referencing, is a guy that has obviously been very beneficial.
He's got a long of 62, but he's got 220. So, he's got a couple of those.
Yeah. So, they're explosive offense. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're going to put a lot of stress on you on the edges and at the second level of defense, and even with your safeties. Look, if you're playing Tennessee right now, like I said, you're going to try to run around the end. You're going to try to get the edge, and I think you're going to work the middle of the football field in the passing game. I think that's where you're going to try to attack right now. You're going to try to get those linebackers running sideways, and then get those big zone windows if you can get them in there. Now Tennessee has to get after Green and make him uncomfortable. They did. I think they sacked him twice last year, but it felt like they were around him a lot, that they harassed him a good bit, which is why they were in that game despite how bad the offense was. That's where Tennessee's got to be good again up front. They've got to contain him in the pocket, but make him uncomfortable in the pocket as well.
And Gunnar Stockton did some of this, but I wonder, just because of what Tennessee's problems out on the edge, you can design quarterback runs on the edge with Green. I wonder how much of that you see. I know you worry about him getting loose, but how much will Petrino, maybe try to stress Tennessee with a big quarterback like that on design stuff? Because again, way different runner than Gunnar Stockton.
Well, and Tennessee's not seen one like this year. They have not played a quarterback like this who, legs, to say his legs are a part of their offense is an understatement. It's they use him a ton in the run game, and they think he can hold up at his size. He's going to be fresher coming off a week off. It's good for him there. So I think Tennessee's going to have to play well defensively. I think Tennessee's going to have to score some points. I think, Rob, you said this earlier when you're talking about, a team going through an interim situation. Okay, their hair's on fire. They cut it loose. They play. Tennessee doesn't want them hanging around. You got to try to punch them in the mouth and take control of that game early, because the longer you let them hang, the more confident they're going to get. UCLA, even though they didn't have a real crowd there, they were at home. That helped them. They got off to a good start, and they just kind of kept hanging around, and they found a way to hang on. I think if you're Tennessee, man, you're just wanting to come out of the gates fast, make a couple early plays and get settled into that game and not allow Arkansas to get comfortable. Now, you also have to be ready for, surprise onside, fake punts, anything can happen, trick plays. I think you have to be ready for some of that, because, Bobby Petrino's auditioning for this job. It is what he's auditioning for. And they're not going to judge him on the defense, because the answer can be, well, give him an offseason to put a defensive staff together. He just kind of threw something together here. Okay, you can sell that one. If he scores a bunch of points and offensively they're pretty good, then that helps his case. And he's certainly going to try to make his case to win this job. So I think they'll be super aggressive in the kicking game and super aggressive offensively.
You mentioned the use of Taylor Green's legs in this offense would be an understatement. To put that in perspective, RB1 Mike Washington has 7 more carries on the season than quarterback Taylor Green. This is Diego Pavia Vanderbilt type splits, in 2024. So big game coming up. Obviously, Tennessee's got to corral him. And you're right, Bobby Petrino's already been scoring some points. So, if you can get a couple of wins here the back half of the season and show a pulse defensively, maybe he has a re-return to Arkansas as the head man there. We'll have to see.
You see the total on that one? 70.
Oh, yeah, 70? Yeah, I can believe it, man. I can believe it. You taking the over right now?
I don't know about that. Hubbard's much more aggressive than me when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's me. I'd rather jump out there on those things. I do think there's going to be a lot of a good number of points scored in this game. I do. I think that I don't think Tennessee's defense can pitch a shutout or what they did a year ago. Obviously, offensively, Tennessee, I think, is playing well. They just got to get a handle on whatever this defense is going to be for Arkansas. And we know it's been really bad. I don't know that they can suddenly become a juggernaut, but how much better are they? How quickly can Tennessee get a handle on it?
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into game week. Football season's rolling rolling right along, I should say. And this season on 3, we've been thrilled to team up with the great people over at BetMGM this football season. When you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use that bonus code ON3, and you're going to get up to $1,500 in first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here is how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code ON3. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. Then you're going to receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet loses. Just make sure you put in that bonus code ON3 when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus and older. U.S. promotional offers is not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369-NY. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP-AZ, 1-800-327-5050-MA, 1-800-BETS-OFF-IA, 1-800-981-0023-PR. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use that bonus code ON3 to get your $1,500 in first bet offer today. So a shout out to BetMGM, big shout out to Gametime. Gametime gives the advantage back to the fans, right? Big football game coming up, this weekend against Arkansas. Big football games coming up on the docket. Oklahoma, November the 1st, Vanderbilt, the end of the season. And you guys probably want to get tickets to those events, but how frustrating is it to where you sit in queues, have fees at checkout, and the whole buying ticket process can be really, really annoying and really, really frustrating. Gametime, again, is a place where you can buy those tickets. It gives the advantage back to the fans. No surprise fees at checkout. You know exactly what you're getting. The views from your seat, they'll show you in the app before you hit purchase. They have the Gametime guarantee as well, to where if you find a cheaper ticket in the same section on another app or another platform, Gametime's going to credit you 110% of the difference. They have the most flexible and best customer service policy in the ticketing industry. That is over at Gametime. And it's not just for sports, right? There's a concert in your area, or whatever's going on, they can help you. Check it all out today at Gametime. You can take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Create an account, put in the redeem code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, download the app, create an account, redeem code ON3 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, download Gametime today. All right, let's look back at the college football as a whole from this past weekend. Tennessee didn't play, so we had a chance to watch a lot more football than we normally do. Man, it feels like the SEC race is wide open. You had Texas that went down to Florida. And, Florida punched him in the mouth. And, Napier said last week that DJ Lagway had that look in his eye, and everybody kind of made fun of him, myself included. DJ Lagway played better. Florida's defense is, good as always. And, man, they were beating the crap out of Texas there for a minute. And Texas, I think, is obviously by now very much overrated, is kind of exposed in that regard. But that was a very big win for Florida, Brent, and a win that you still look at that schedule. I still don't think Billy Napier survives this year. I don't. But that win buys him some time, no doubt.
Well, I mean, this is the Billy Napier script, right, Rob? I mean, everybody writes the obituary.
It's perfect.
I mean, and then all of a sudden he rallies. He rallies it up and figures out what he can do. I mean, look, I think winning at A&M will be hard. I think certainly they can beat Mississippi State at home. I mean, I would pick Georgia at this point in time. Kentucky, they can win that game. I don't think they're going to win at Ole Miss. They've beaten Tennessee in the swamp for 2 decades. And in Florida State at home, I mean, that's a winnable game. I'm not saying they're going to win all those, but it's interesting what one game can do. And I think this is human nature, that you swing the pendulum really quickly one way or the other, and it's probably too big of an overreaction either way. We sat here and looked at that schedule and went, after they lost to South Florida, and you went loss, maybe a win, loss, and he's done type deal. Now that he's beat Texas, can they steal one on the road? Probably not. I think A&M's good, but they're not completely dead yet. And we've seen Billy Napier get off the mat, earlier in his career, last year in his career at Florida as well. I think the more fascinating thing about this weekend with that is the whole Texas deal to me. Everybody's talking about, Arch, and clearly Arch is not performing well and is not playing the way anybody thought he would play, Rob. I don't think anybody's being critical enough or judgmental enough, if you will, on Texas's offensive front.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, Florida's good on defense, but Texas didn't block anybody up front.
52 yards rushing in that game. I know they had some sacks. I don't think that didn't take the sack yardage out, but that tells the story of how bleak it was. I
mean, that Red River rivalry Saturday could be the lowest scoring game in that series in a long, long time, because Mateer's not playing for Oklahoma. So how well does Oklahoma play?
That Oklahoma defense is really good. I mean,
exactly.
Really good.
They're the number one defense in the conference, and maybe the number one defense in the country. I mean, Texas going to score any points against them? I mean, that might be the first 1-9 wins that game, Rob.
Oklahoma has given up 3 touchdowns
all season
in October.
Yeah, in September.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah,
I mean, we're in October now.
Yes.
So they've given up 3 touchdowns, and they didn't play. Who did they play? Michigan, Auburn. It wasn't like they played a bunch of William and Marys.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at that schedule there. I mean, so we'll see. That one, the Texas thing is pretty interesting, because they may have some more losses on their horizon. I think unless they figure out something on the offensive front, Texas is going to lose some more football games.
Well, Well, I mean, you look at that schedule right there. I mean, I think Georgia's a loss. Vanderbilt could be. Vanderbilt played Texas extremely tough last year.
A&M.
A&M for sure. Yeah, I mean, I could see that one being one for sure. Where's Arkansas at this point? I mean, Arkansas can always has a chance because again, they can score points if it's still scoring points at that point in the season.
Well,
I don't see.
can Texas score points? Can
Yeah.
they score any points to give yourself a chance? I mean, I don't have their numbers in front of me, but if you take out Sam Houston State and UTEP, what have they done offensively? Who are they're not scoring, they're not moving the ball at all.
Scored 7 points on the road at Ohio State to begin the year.
Right.
Yeah. So one to look at there, and Florida again showing a pulse there with Billy Napier. Alabama and Vanderbilt, I thought that was a pretty good football game for about 2.5 quarters, and then Alabama just kind of put its teeth in there and kind of ran away with it from the end. Jam Miller back really helps. Ty Simpson, good quarterback. He had I think his first turnover of the season was in that first half, and his first touchdown throw on a rope to the back of the end zone. Really, really good looking play. Alabama, you talked about kind of riding the obituaries too early, right? And I still don't think Billy Napier survives this, but I do think that all the obituaries about Alabama after that Florida State loss in week 1, like it's looking like a pretty good football team. Obviously, is going to be a challenge for Tennessee next weekend. But an impressive win there against Vanderbilt that is certainly no pushover this year with Pavia and all those guys.
Well, Rob, here's why we love college football. I mean, week 1, Florida State was a playoff team. Alabama was going to fire everybody, and they're trying to figure out if they can find enough money for the buyout. We're now in October. Alabama's a playoff team, and Florida State's, well, they're just not very good, it doesn't appear. Or they're not as good as anybody thought they were going to be. That's why you love college football. Just the roller coaster ride that it takes fan bases on is fascinating.
And just to extend your metaphor and keep Florida State in it, I mean, I don't follow them closely, but just happened to pick up this. It's part of the Florida State storyline. Tony Elliott at Virginia, they're 5-1 now, and they don't play a ranked team for the rest of the year. I just happened to stumble across that while reading about Florida State's demise. But I mean, that goes hand in hand with. I mean, college football is nuts. I mean, it is absolutely nuts how much different the landscape is than it was when we kicked this thing off, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Virginia has. I mean, to your point, Rob, Virginia's got a very, very, very attainable path to the college football playoff. Don't play another ranked team the rest of the way. You win your conference you're in, right?
They're Indiana.
Yeah. Even if you lose, what's that loss look like? Can you get an at-large? I mean, Virginia's got a very doable path to the college football playoff. College football is just wide open this year. Again, there was no really other good game in the SEC. Georgia handled Kentucky and all that, but we've mentioned UCLA. James Franklin does it again, right? I mean, they almost came back, but UCLA, Nico had, 5 total touchdowns or whatever, 42-37. I mean, it was just kind of wild and wacky. I think Texas Tech, I didn't watch the game the other day. I think Texas Tech's a pretty good ball club. I don't think that's a team that nobody's really talking about. Iowa State lost. That was another ranked team that lost. There's just no – I think Ohio State's good. I think Oregon's good. I think there's a lot of good teams in the SEC, but certainly in the Southeastern Conference, Brent, I mean, there's just no top dog. There's no true top dog, right? I mean, is that Alabama? I don't know.
Well, I mean, Rob, I don't think we know. I mean, what we know is this sport is becoming much more like the NFL in that anything could happen, any weekend that you play. I don't think the Big 12 is the best conference in college football by any means. They have the most competitive games of any conference right now. They don't have a lot of blowout games in their league, so their league's entertaining to watch. I don't think they have any elite teams. But you're talking about Virginia. I mean, they've won back-to-back overtime games. I mean, when's the last time somebody has done that? I just think it's the portal. I think it's quarterback play around the country, Rob. Some places it's not as good as expected. Some places it's better than expected. And it's created just kind of the chaos that everybody wants it to be, which is what's going to make the next 2 months in the race for the playoffs just full of debate and full of all kinds of intrigue around the country to watch.
Could not agree more. I mean, this league is I think this league has got more carnage in it than others, just because you have so many more programs that are invested, at a high level, but across the country too. I mean, I'm not. This is not my original thought. I read it somewhere. Somebody said it, and I mean, it's a lot of people are saying it. But kids just start waiting 3 years to start at Georgia or Alabama anymore. I mean, those guys are pulled up stakes and they're starting, at Arkansas, or maybe that's a bad example. But maybe starting at Virginia. But right? I mean, I just don't think you're seeing as many kids that are willing to play special teams for 3 years and get their crack at starting when they're a junior. They read the writing on the wall, and they're still. I mean, they're good players, but they're just maybe not going to start with this guy who's going to be a second-round NFL draft pick in a couple of years. And I mean, I think that. I mean, again, not my original thought, but you see it everywhere. I mean, top teams don't have the depth. And the bottom feeders, especially in this league, just aren't as desperate for talent as they used to be. And my favorite line to sum up the craziness from this whole weekend was not mine, but I saw somebody tweeted it. And I saw it that UCLA's interim head coach now has the same amount as top 10 wins in the Big Ten as James Franklin. One. That's remarkable. When you got the reins of a program with that kind of resources. Woo.
But what do we get back to, Eric? You get back to quarterback play, right?
Look at this league, Hubbard. I mean, you're right on. The old guys are dominating.
Yeah, old guys are dominated, and
but here's the thing about the old guys dominating. Yes, older guys are dominating, but in some cases, it's older guys that are at a new place. Are guys who are getting their first opportunity. I mean, Ty Simpson did wait.
Yeah,
right. He's playing well. He waited his turn. Joey Aguilar is at a new place. This is Gunnar Stockton's first go of it for being a starter.
John Mateer.
Yeah, Mateer's at an older guy, but he's at a new place. I mean, some of the guys who have been in a school for 3 or 4 years and been a returning starter, some of those guys aren't playing as well. I mean, Nussmeier, now he may be hurt. I know there's a big conspiracy down there that he's hurt more than anybody knows, and that's part of some of his issues that's going on there. Sellers was supposed to be a big deal coming back. I don't think he has enough help around him, and his offensive coordinator's not there. Clay the kid at Clemson, Klubnik, has not been very good to this point. At Ohio State, new starter is playing extremely well.
Yeah.
At Penn State, quarterback play is not good enough for them to go on the road and win at UCLA. I mean, I am kind of perplexed at the quarterback play around the country, where it's been good, where it's not been good. Some places you thought it would be good, it hasn't been. Carson Beck's played really well at Miami, but you knew he was a good player coming in, so that's not a complete shock to you.
And one of the funny things is the kid at Missouri is a transfer from Penn State, and he's not fantastic. He's very serviceable.
I was going to say that kind of. I was going to lead into the games this weekend.
How do you say his last name? You say Pribula?
Pribula, yeah. And he was a backup quarterback, had some packages. He was a running quarterback, but he's the one, if you remember, it was during the CFP last year, I believe, when James Franklin's like, we had a backup quarterback leave today. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. He's got to go do what's best for him, but it really kind of screws us, and that's him. And he's leading a Missouri team that's 5-0, 1-0 in SEC play. And I was going to ask you guys, I mean, hosting Alabama, according to our friends over at BetMGM, is a slight favorite on the road in this game. But this is one of the more intriguing matchups. I think Alabama's a better football team, and this is really kind of the first test for Missouri. How good is Missouri? We're about to find out. I think that's going to be one of the more intriguing football games with one of those veteran quarterbacks that's been on the move, Brent, and Bo Pribula, now with Mizzou.
Well, and listen, Alabama, I think Alabama got an advantage because it's an 11 a.m. start.
Yeah.
So that Missouri crowd's not exactly rocking, even if it's a nighttime start. But I don't think the environment there is going to be just something really difficult for you to deal with. But, Alabama's coming off a couple of emotional weeks, a couple of big weeks, right? They win at Georgia. And then, they had the Vanderbilt game circled for a year. Mm-hmm. So here's Kalen DeBoer. Here's your challenge, right? Can you get your team ready to play consecutive weeks to be at their peak and be at their best? I think Alabama's a team that's getting better. I think they're getting better in the run game, which is going to be a help to Ty Simpson. I like where they are offensively. But can you do it each and every week? I mean, that's the hard part, right? That's the carnage that, Rob, you've been talking about. It's just there's enough balance and enough parity and not enough separation that there's not many teams that can just mail it in on a Saturday in this league and get away with a win. Alabama has to play well Saturday if they're going to beat Missouri. They can't just roll out there and say we're the Tide and we're going to win this game because of all the roster stuff we're talking about, transfers and everything else. That's the challenge for head coaches in this league, is trying to get your players to be at peak elite level multiple weeks in a row. And that's Alabama's challenge right now. They're getting ready to play game 3 of a 4-game jaunt that's got Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee in it. Much the same way Tennessee's getting ready to go into a 4-game jaunt that's got Arkansas with a new coach and an interim status, Alabama, Kentucky, and then Oklahoma. Can you be at your best 4 straight weeks? We're getting ready to find out. Because they haven't had to do that yet, right? I mean, opener, everybody's going to be ready for the opener. Listen, Tennessee could have played their walk-ons and beat ETSU. No offense to the Bucks. Okay, you're ready to play Georgia. You let that one get away, but you were ready to play. Didn't have to worry too much about playing UAB. Then you go on the road for the first time, and you get out of there with that one. And now you're coming back to start a 4-game stretch. You haven't had like this in the season to this point. How does Tennessee handle it? Same for Alabama. That's the carnage of the SEC.
And I think that nobody is really giving Missouri any respect, and I'm counting myself there as well. I'm not going to act like I've watched their games. But this is one of those litmus tests, right? I mean, we're going to see exactly, is Missouri a good football team? I mean, 5-0 looks great, right? Top 15 team in the country. What do you look like at home against an Alabama team that clearly has a lot of talent and has a big win, a really big win on the couple of ranked wins, one really big win on the road, which was at Georgia a couple weeks ago.
Yep. I was going to say, Hubbard, are we allowed to make golf references if AP's not here?
Sure. Go right ahead.
I was going to say, for Missouri, it's like hitting a 4-iron. You say you can't fake hitting a 4-iron. If you can swing the golf club, you can't fake hitting a 4-iron. So this is Missouri's 4-iron this weekend for me.
Yeah, good. I like that.
Couple more minutes here before we hit the door. Mentioned, excuse me, the Red River rivalry in Texas and Oklahoma, about how that could be so low scoring. And I feel like all the hype for that game coming into the season is just evaporated. John Mateer's not playing, and Texas has been very underwhelming. We mentioned Florida, Texas A&M. What does that look like? I think it's going to be really challenging on the road for Lagway and Billy Napier against that defense for Texas A&M. Georgia and Auburn. Georgia should win that football game, but I think it could get dicey because I think Auburn's got a lot of talent, but Georgia should be able to bully that offensive line for Auburn for sure. And then one that I think, again, is got a lot of so much hype coming into the year, and then now it's just kind of like, is South Carolina at LSU? Because I think the quarterback play, and Brent, you brought it up earlier, quarterback play has not been good enough for both of those teams, and what was probably one of the biggest games coming into the season is just kind of one of those games right now entering week number 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be an interesting battle on the defensive front for both those teams. I mean, we know South Carolina can rush the quarterback. They can get after the quarterback. South Carolina's having a hard time protecting. I think LSU's a good defense. So, I mean, who can score in that game? I would take LSU because I don't think South Carolina offensively has got enough. Has shown enough firepower, and that's a good LSU defense. You talk about Florida at Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is a unique team. They're hard for me to figure out, Rob. Yeah. I mean, they win. They beat Notre Dame, and kind of still won out of there late. That game's like, 7-3 Mississippi State for the longest time, and then they kind of take control there in the end. Then I look at Florida. Florida goes to Baton Rouge, and everybody's got Florida dead on that game. If Florida doesn't throw 5 interceptions, Florida's got a chance in that game. I mean, LSU didn't blow them out even with the 5 turnovers. So there's a bunch of unknown with that Texas A&M Florida game. I think A&M's better. I think A&M should win that game at home. But that game, there's a little bit of a, keep your eye on that one, because I think there's some pretty good inconsistencies with Texas A&M within the game.
I think it can be hard for them to score points sometimes. I mean, I've not watched them a ton. I watched most of the second half against Auburn. Excuse me, against Notre Dame that Saturday night, and a little bit more. And I think when Reed is in rhythm, I think he's really good. But I don't, he's not there all the time. Yeah, he was, late against Notre Dame, big time, made some big time plays, but he's not super steady in my opinion.
Yeah, they can look. To me, Eric, they can go 3 straight possessions and look like, man, this team might score 65 points. Like, nobody's stopping this offense. And then they'll have 3 possessions where they struggle to make a first down, and within the game, Rob's right. They're just kind of up and down a little bit. So can they be good enough, or do they struggle early and allow Florida to kind of hang around and go from there? I think this league is pretty fascinating because, you look at Mississippi State. I walked out of Starkville thinking, you know what, that's a pretty salty, pretty good football team. I look at their schedule. I don't know if they get to 6.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a bowl team.
And it's tough too because you look at Mississippi State and it's like they're right at that hump. They beating Tennessee would have got them over the hump. Beating obviously Texas A&M would have got them over the hump, and they were right there with A&M for 2.5 quarters, and then it's just like the floodgates open, and that game ended up being 30-9 or whatever. They couldn't score a touchdown. It feels like State is just so close. But to your point again, you look at that schedule. That guy coming up, they got Florida, they've got Texas, Arkansas that can score a ton of points, Georgia, Missouri, Ole Miss. You're right. That might not be a bowl eligible team, but it is clearly a team that is a whole lot better than what they put out on display last year.
Well, they could go 0-8 in league play.
Yeah, again.
And they lost the running back, right?
Yeah, they lost the running back in a 24-6 ball game late in the fourth quarter. Like, you hate to see that. Like, yeah. I haven't seen if it's season-ending or injury, but it certainly looked bad there in the fourth quarter.
Well, and what works against them is their home and away schedule. If Arkansas was at home, you'd feel better about that game. If Florida was at home, maybe you feel a little better. Texas looks like a more winnable game than you thought. But going on the road at Missouri, that's going to be hard. Georgia at home, I don't see that one. The Egg Bowl's always entertaining. But, you're right, Rob. They could go over in league play after starting off 4-0. I think they'll get one somewhere.
And be a better football team.
And be a better football team.
Yeah.
That's right. And be a better football team.
If that doesn't scream that the SEC is the best conference and it's not just top heavy like the Big Ten, I don't know what does. You could have a team potentially going 2 straight years, 0-8 in conference play, and that's a much improved football team, right? But I do think, one point, when does apathy set in? If it does, they got to keep going. The losses are going to be piled up. Or they get frustrated. Are they still playing as disciplined and inspired football against Georgia as it was in the first half against A&M the other night? I don't know. I think losing can certainly take a toll, but this is a better football team, but I don't see a whole lot of wins on that schedule.
Well, it would be interesting to see a team go winless in league play, and nobody would view them as just a lay down team. Like, hey, all we got to do is roll our helmets out there, and we're gonna win that game. Yeah. That's not how State feels right now. It may be different about them in a month. They may be done. You're right. But I looked at their schedule and look at them and go, hey, they're competitive, but they may not beat anybody.
How is Jeff Lebby? And we're talking in hypotheticals here because we don't know what this team's going to look like later on. Say they play competitive, they're clearly improved, but they go 0-8 again, or maybe 1-7 or whatever it is. How is Jeff Lebby viewed from a national perspective? Because it's like, man, they're a lot better. They just didn't find many wins.
Well, how do you get there? First of all, did you make a bunch of coaching mistakes? That's why did you blow some games? That type thing. I think the perception, Rob, with Mississippi State is they just don't have the resources that the other boys in this league have, the big boys in this league. And he's, is it a viewpoint of like, hey man, if he was ever at a place where they had, the resources that you have at some of these other places, he could be a really good coach. I don't know.
I don't get that feeling. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying I don't. The body of work for me does not scream that.
No. But there's a perception State doesn't have the resources to be. Be with the elites in this league.
But they don't. But Dan Mullen did some things there. A different era. I know NIL different. But Mullen did some things. Mike Leach was, fielded some competitive teams. So I think it's a really, really tough job. Tough job. You got people your people support you, but there just aren't a lot of them, compared to the big boys in this league. So, I just think the jury's out on him.
I agree. I don't think everybody's going, man, that's a championship coach that's stuck in a bad job. I don't think anybody is perceiving that, with him at all at this point. But
worst. I mean, is it the worst job in the league? No disrespect to Mississippi State, because they have a passionate fan base, but resource wise, Missouri I would put in there. Vandy doesn't care, so
Missouri. Brent, you could speak on this better than I can, but Missouri found some money at one point in time. They've recruited okay. I would say State is probably the worst job in the conference.
I think it's the hardest job.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes it the worst job.
And it's not like, I want to be careful because I don't want to insult their fan base, because they have a proud and passionate fan base. It's not like UCLA, but it's just, it's just a smaller school and it doesn't have the resources that the teams are competing with.
Brent Hubbs, big fan of the campus over there.
It is a nice campus. I'm serious. I could go to school there. It's, it's pretty, it's small. I don't have any problem. I think it gets a bad rap for, being just this, horrific place. And it's not that in any way, shape, or form. It is a hard job in football.
Yeah.
It is because there are expectations there. Clark Lee's done a great job at Vanderbilt, but there's not the level of expectation at Vanderbilt that Mississippi State fans have. Mississippi State fans have a belief that they should be competing at the top of the league. And Vanderbilt's coming around, and credit Clark Lee for doing that. And, and Bobby Johnson doesn't get enough credit for putting Vanderbilt, we're in a position they were before James Franklin took the job there. But Clark Lee's done a really good job, with that. Now, here's the thing with them. They get a week off and then they get their gauntlet. But that, the Texas game doesn't look as bad as it once did. Auburn can't run the football very well. Kentucky, you look at those three games, and I think you feel better about those three games than any of the rest of them on your schedule. But you get LSU at home, that's not bad. You get Missouri at home, that's not bad. That's not an awful back half of the schedule when you look at home and away for them. Given the way that they played against Alabama, I thought they played pretty well. It got away from them in the second half, but I thought Alabama got all they wanted and then some in that game.
I think I'm not saying Vanderbilt will, but I think you look at that schedule, I think Vanderbilt can absolutely beat the two Tigers coming up next, Auburn, Kentucky, for sure. They can play with Texas, and Texas can't score. So I'm with you. I thought it got away from them in the second half, but I thought Vanderbilt played a pretty good football game for 2.5 quarters. And obviously, certainly deserving of that ranking where it was like 15th or whatever going into the game. So,
well, here's what we know as we put a bow tie on it. We can sit here and pull everybody's schedule up, and you can say, yeah, I could see them pulling that one off. I could see them pulling that. But it's the same thing you say about Tennessee, right, Rob? Tennessee could run a table. Tennessee could lose 3 more times. Mm-hmm. That's this league in a nutshell.
It's everybody.
Yeah, and that's really college football. But this league, you say, I could see them winning. They got a chance to win every game left on their schedule. And then you look at it, but they could lose a bunch left on their schedule too. I think you can make that case for a lot of the teams if you pulled up everybody's composite schedule and just ran through them.
But don't you, Rob, don't you still feel better about those teams? And Tennessee was a playoff team last year, and that defense was amazing to watch. I'm not taking anything away from it. It was fun, right? That was old school football, got you to the CFP. But don't you feel better about those teams like Tennessee, and even Arkansas is not a CFP team, but teams like that can score?
I always feel better about teams that can score. I don't know if it's just, that I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but it just feels like you got more wiggle room.
And you don't view Texas in the same light because Texas has issues scoring.
You just have more room for error if you can score.
It's hard to win 5 or 6, 17, 10 games.
Yep.
That's why Nick Saban changed his offense. That's why he opened it up, and because he felt like he needed to score more, because it's just hard to be that elite defensively week in and week out in this league anymore. So if you could score, you like your chances a lot better, than you do if a team has to. Well, we got a shot if we keep them under 24, or under 21. You got a shot to win the game. If you could score, it changes the outlook.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Tennessee and Arkansas, Should be some scoring in that one coming up on Saturday. Neyland Stadium, 4:15. We'll have you covered all week long, leading into the game, during the game, after the game, all that and more. Tennessee, fresh off the bye, getting back into game week right here at Volquest.com. Loads going on right now. We've got basketball practice happening right now. Fall baseball is happening. Recruiting never stops. Of course, football season. If you're listening or watching us right now, not a member of the site, thank you for joining us here. But come on over. See what it's all about. The best Tennessee online community for the volunteers out there. That is at the general quarters at Volquest.com. You can join us for your first week, $1. 7 days, $1. Try us out. If you like us, stick around. If not, appreciate you for trying us out. But what do you got to lose? Just $1. $1, 7 days. Come check us out over at Volquest.com. For Brent Hubbs, Rob Lewis, I am Eric Kane. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Tuesday morning Volquest podcast.